Hello all and welcome to our crochet. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on part 2 of our, I'm getting it ready because it's relatively big now, gorgeous rug. I know, love, 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 love. Now, with the rug, I did mention in part 1 the actual yarn that we are using, which was this mega tweed, still is the mega tweed by the way, and I mentioned that in part 1. I didn't actually mention how much yarn you will need for your rug, for the simple reason that firstly I was going to do the whole tutorial in one go, but it just blew up. It just went so big and I thought, oh, that's not working. So I cut it into 3 tutorials, as you do. What I thought was I will get to the stage of my rug where I know I won't be able to do anymore because I don't have enough yarn, and yours truly had 6 skeins of yarn. And that's all that's left of 6 skeins of yarn, 1 3/4 ball, okay? So to me, there is no way this rug is going to be big, and I already knew that from the beginning, which is the reason why I didn't advertise the yarn amount. Now, let me talk to you about measurements and yarn amounts, so this might help you a little bit. This rug, as of today, at the end of this tutorial, will measure 106 centimeters or 42 inches from one peak to an opposite peak on the other side. Peak is these little points that you see right here. So from one side right to the other side, it does measure 106 centimeters, 106.5 centimeters or 42 inches. Now, there is no way I'm going to make this any bigger, only because I don't have enough yarn. However, at the end of this tutorial, I will show you a way that you can make yours bigger and how much more yarn you may or may not need. Okay, to make yours larger. This will only make, what you see today will only make four and a quarter skeins of this mega yarn. Now this mega yarn is, and let me explain it to you, is 170 grams worth of yarn, and the meterage is 68 meters per ball. I'm not sure what that is in yards. I might just pop that up right now. There we go. So that's how much you will need, 4 times the yardage you saw up there, or 4 times 68 meters. That is how much you will make by the end of this tutorial. If you have roughly the same tension as me, if you are using a 15 millimeter hook, like that one or close to it, it doesn't have to be the same as long as it's a 15 millimeter hook. If you are using a smaller hook, I cannot tell you how much yarn to use. That will be something you'd have to decipher for yourself when you are, creating as you go along. How long it takes you to get through one skein per row, that is also another thing you need to, consider. Now, for me, I've got this the wrong way around, so I've been showing you the wrong way around. Doesn't matter anyway, you can't tell. With rugs, you can't tell. For me, one skein at the moment is 1 1/4 rows or 1 1/2 rows. And again, it depends on your tension. So I know for a fact that with that 1 3/4, there is no way I'm going to be able to make another row plus 2 rows of the border, and then I think I won't even be able to do anything else after that. I might just have like a quarter skein left or something like that. Now the border row is not rows, there's 2, is not that big, so it's not going to make much difference in width for me. If anything, it'll make probably another inch or another 2 inches bigger than what you see here today. So 43 or 44 inches, say 110 centimeters, something roughly like that, if you're working in centimeters there. So really, I can't see me having a very large rug. So what I want you to do for now is to continue with part 2, get to the very end, and right at the very end, when you are at this point, I will tell you what you need to do to make your rug larger. Plus, I will let you know roughly how much yarn, roughly, because I don't know, because it depends on how big you make yours, you may or may not need. But more so what you're going to do further from this point if you have that extra 6 skeins of yarn, all right? So head off on your own, continue with part 2, and I will catch you right at the very end of this tutorial. Good luck, guys. Alrighty guys, where I left you off in part 1 was we did all our double crochets in the round. I got you to pop a stitch marker in here. Mind you, mine came undone a few times, so it's too thick, the yarn. You will need to restart again with the same hook that we were working with, which was a 15mm hook. You will need your scissors, yes you will. And once again, you will need that darning needle, and I will show you today how to weave in those two unusual ends. There they are. Those two ends that we left sitting right here, remembering they're not knotted. So, get it, not knotted? Sorry, I get sidetracked. So we need to be careful of how we're going to weave those in. That's why I've left nice long tails. If you've already weaved yours in, that's great. Otherwise, we will do that a little bit later. Not yet. Okay, so what we're going to do is remove our stitch marker. And what I'm going to do actually here, I'll bring that up, is actually take this stitch undone because I want us all to be on the same wavelength. So we're just going to remove that stitch again and then just slip stitch it like normal. Okay, so you're just popping it in the stitch and you're just slip stitching it like normal. If you want to just leave yours the way it is, that's fine. All right, now chain 1, give that a nice tight tug. In the same stitch you are going to pop a single crochet, and a single crochet is popping your hook in the stitch, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. You will need a stitch marker or a thread, especially in this round. It may be difficult to see this stitch at the end of the row. Okay, so pop that in there. Easy row, this one. Every stitch you come to, you are popping a single crochet. So pop your hook in, pull a loop through, yarn over, pull through 2. Pop your hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And next stitch, very, very basic row. Truly very easy. All right, so I don't think I need to show you this one. So what I would like for you to do is to go all the way around, all the way, all the way. When you get to this little knot right here, just be wary, single crochet in each stitch. Don't worry about going over the knot or crocheting over anything, because I'm going to show you another way of weaving that in so that doesn't come undone. All right, so just keep doing your single crochets all the way across. Get to that stitch right there. Now let me show you a close-up. Because this stitch here, what you'll have is, oh look, I did split it, can you believe it? I'll fix that up in a minute. That's the final stitch, I'm sorry, that's your first stitch that you are going to slip stitch into at the end of the row. However, when you get here, it's easy to put a stitch in there and then accidentally put one in there. That is your slip stitch. With making rugs, and this is a mistake that I was making, sometimes it's easy to think that's another stitch, but it's not. Okay, so just get to your last 3 or 4 stitches and I'll show you what I mean when we catch up to there. Okay, go ahead and do your row of single crochets and I'll meet you back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this row. Okay, and I'll just fold this up because it's driving me batty. All right, let's get a nice close up for you, and there you go. All right, so what you have is these 2 single crochets left, or I do anyway. Now I'm going to do the 2. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm out of frame there, sorry. I'm just going to finish off these last 2 and show you that that little thing right there is a slip stitch. So don't accidentally put your next single crochet. And if you look carefully, there's your post for that chain and there's your post for that chain. So all you're going to do is hop into that stitch right there with a slip stitch. Oops, take out that stitch marker. Okay, now this row going to change a tad, not too much. Well, no, it is going to change a bit, but it's still very basic. All right, so all you're going to do is chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. Grabbing that stitch marker if you can and didn't do it as tight as I did. And pop it through. I've done it so tight. Oh, that split everything, but I'll fix that up, no big deal. Now you need to do a double crochet in the same space. So yarn over your hook in the same stitch with your double crochet, which you know how to do. All right, from here, this is where the pattern changes just a little bit. but nothing major. You're chaining 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then you are skipping 1, 2, 3, and you are hopping into your 4th stitch right there with a double crochet. 1, and then you're going to pop another double crochet in the same space. Now here is your repeat stitch. Are you ready? Chain 1, 2, 3. You're going to love it. Skip 1, 2, 3. Pop 2 double crochets in your next stitch. Simple as. Very simple, yeah? Chain 1, 2, 3. Skip 1, 2, 3. And in the last one with your 2 double crochets. I meant the last one, I meant the 4th one, sorry. Get it right, Mary. All right, chain 1, 2, and 3. And making sure that you are actually not including the stitch that you're already in. You are going 1 in your next one, 2, 3, and when you jump into that 4th one right there, you do your double crochet. All right, 1 and 2. All right, look, I think you get the picture. It's very, very simple, this pattern in this row. It's just 2 double crochets, chain 3, skip 1, 2, 3, jump into your 4th with 2 double crochets, chain 3, skip 1, 2, 3, and jump into your, hang on, where are we? Get it right. Skip 1, 2, 3, and jump into your 4th. 2 double crochets, chain 3, skip 1, 2, 3, jump into your 4th, and I shall meet you back right over here. Towards the end, you should have 1, 2, 3. Your last stitch should be there, in that one there, and then you go 1, 2, 3, and that was your next set. All right, so your last stitch should be there. All right, so I will meet you back there in just a moment. I can't fit this in the screen anymore, it's so big. I will meet you back there in just a moment. Alrighty guys, I seriously cannot fit this in the frame anymore. So the next time I show you this will be in large scale, but for now, let me show you where you should be. Now, oh, by the way, while you're looking at your work, it should lay flat. It shouldn't go like that, and nor should it go like that. It kind of should lay flat, all right? I hope that helps. Now, we got to, well, I got to, and hopefully you did too, the end of the row. And I have chained my 3 here, done my 2 double crochets, chained my 3, and I went 1, 2, and 3, and that is a slip stitch, so don't count that. Now we are going to slip stitch into that very top, tight, let me get that stitch marker out. You like that? Tight stitch there. Well, that's really tight. Oh, we're in. Pull it through and pull it through to the loop. On your hook you have closed this round. Now we need to pop ourselves in that big space. So what we're going to do is slip stitch across. So slip stitch into your next stitch like so. There. And then you're slip stitching straight into that space right there. And you are chaining 3. 1, 2, and 3. Grabbing your stitch marker and popping it through your tight stitch. Don't worry about it, I'll fix mine up later. And then you're going to pop 3 double crochets in that little center there. 1, 2, and 3. And then chain 1. All right, so here these 3 chains here will act as a double crochet. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we chained 1. From here, you are going to skip these 2 double crochets, jump into your next space with 4 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Chain 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets, chain 1, skip the 2 double crochets and do it again. Simple pattern once again. 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 1, and you're going to keep going and going and going. All right, so 4 double crochets, chain 1, skip 2, 4 double crochets, chain 1, skip 2, and so on and so on and so on, all the way around. Get to your last 4 double crochets and I shall meet you up. Alrighty guys, here it is. There we go. I know I said I'd do a full length shot, but I might do the full length shot after the next row because it's a very important row, the next one. But for now, just quickly, if you're anything like me, you're coming to the end of another skein. So what I'm going to do is flip our work to the wrong side and just quickly show you how, if you haven't already, weave in this end. Okay, if you've already weaved it in, and this is a really chunky yarn, it's going to be very difficult to thread again. If you've already weaved it in, then go ahead with the tutorial, just skip over a couple of minutes. All right, and just this one here. Okay, you've got one that goes up the top. Let me show you nice and close. It's getting a bit dark outside now, really cloudy. All right, so you've got one thread that goes way up the top and one that comes down here. So the one that comes down here, I would literally pop in somewhere there, like a stitch first. So you pop your thread in there. Be careful not to pull too tight because remember, this is not knotted. So if you pull that too tight, you're going to pull all your work down and it's going to come down and you don't want that. You want it to be even, okay? And then just grab your needle and go into that stitch filled with stitches. Just make sure you can't see your needle from the front, and you can't, and just pop it through there. All right, by popping it through one stitch first, you've given it a bit of reinforcement, but that's not the end of it. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to pop it through another stitch there, like so. Yeah, then we're going to go back in just a different area. You can split a stitch if you like, same stitch but just in a different section of the stitches. All right, make sure you can't see your needle, and you can't. Okay, sorry about the sing-songy, I get that way sometimes, sorry guys. You can do it another time if you like. I think that will do, and the only reason is because it's relatively thick. I don't think that's going to come undone. Not at all. If you wanted to go through that third time, you can. Now the other one is a little different again. Now the reason is because that other one, we really have to get this thread through. That other one is going up. All right, have a careful look at it. It kind of sits. The other one sat down this way. This one sits up. Now, we don't really want to go up because if we go through there, we're going to unravel our stitching. So it's entirely up to you what you want to do. I would actually suggest going up, but not up that way where the stitch comes out of. Just go through another stitch there, making sure you can't see the needle in the front, and you can't. So just go through some stitches to the side of your work. Okay, that just reinforces it, keeps it nice and tight once again. And then I would actually go right up into that row of single crochets. From memory they were single crochets, so go right into there. Don't pull too tight. Well, I will for a second, but then I'll adjust it. All right, and now all you need to do is exactly what we did before. Just go, good needle, inside some single crochet stitches right there. I'm assuming they're single crochet. Yes, they are. Make sure you can't see the needle, and you can't. And there you go. That's one way. Oh, I've split the yarn there. Doesn't matter. We'll get on inside the other side. That's better. Don't do that. There you go. That's better. All right. So all you need to do is go back the other way in a different stitch right there and make different areas to go back into. Just check it once again, and there you go. Now the benefit about this is it's really solid, this kind of crochet anyway, so that's not going to come undone. However, I'm a bit hesitant about this one. I can feel it looser than the other one, which is really odd considering it's going through single crochets. I'm going to pop it through one last time. I forgot to check, but I know it didn't come through the other side. Give it a cut, and that's not going to come undone. Nice little tug, all the ends hide in. All right, so flip your work yet again back to the way you started, and let's continue our pattern. Now this row, I like to call this row, it's the 10th row, I believe. Yes, it is a 10th row, but I like to call this row the start of your pattern. Even though we've been doing patterns all the way along, this row is kind of the same pattern all the way through, except you are adding chains. All right, don't stress too much about that now. I will explain that to you in a minute. All right, so yarn over your hook. I hope you've chained one. Let's just finish off that last set, which I haven't finished. Hopefully yours is done. So I'm putting 4 double crochets in the space before we slip stitch. So there's 3 and 4. And then you need to chain 1. Don't forget that chain 1. And then you slip stitch. I'm going to take the stitch marker out because I messed up that stitch. And you slip stitch in that stitch marker. Now I forgot to mention, if you are changing colours, continue to slip stitch as we're doing now. Cut your thread there and then start in your centre space. I forgot to mention that earlier, but because we're using the same colour, we are slip stitching over. So pull the loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Now we want to start our next round in between the 4 double crochets. Now we've slip stitched to the 1 chain there, or the top of that chain there. We're going to slip stitch into the 2nd double crochet. Yes, oh, that's a bit loose. Let me try that again. Make sure you don't leave that too loose for the slip stitching. There. And you're going to slip stitch not in the double crochet, but in the space between these 2 and these 2. So slip stitch into the space and pull a loop through. Now if you're changing colours, all you needed to do was change colours in this space here. Chain 1, just give it a bit of a tug there, 2 and 3, and that's where you're putting your stitch marker. This is just not the right stitch marker for this. Okay, and then you are putting a double crochet in the same space as your chain 3. Okay, now you are chaining 1 and you're putting 2 more double crochets in the same space. 1 and 2. And now you're going to chain 1. All right, now this is where the pattern is. Okay, you're going to go to every 4 double crochets that you have, split the 2 apart. All right, put 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, then chain 1 and jump straight into the next 4. We'll do that together. I just wanted to show you. So we've chained 1 here, yarn over the hook. We're going to skip over all of this space. We're going to skip over all of this space, skip these 2 double crochets, go in the middle of your 4 right there and do 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 1 and 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. Don't get scared, guys, we've got thunderstorms at the moment. Chain 1, I don't know why I said that, I just heard the noise now. Chain 1. All right, so once again we're going to skip over all of this and the space, jump into the next, we'll call this a cluster set if you like, jump into our 4 cluster set, separate the 4, so you've got 2 on one side, 2 on the other, pop your hook in and do your 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 1 and 2 double crochets. And here comes the rain, guys. Look, this is why I'm having trouble. Look, that's the last thread I have here. Oh dear, that's the end of my thread, so I'm going to have to... dearie me. You have one job, Mary, one job. I'm going to have to add a new thread in a minute. So there's my last double crochet. Chain 1. Skip over those 2 double crochets, the space, and separate your next cluster set, popping your hook in there with your 2 double crochets. Chain 1 and 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And with this one here, I might have to, yes, I will have to add a new thread. Alright, always when you're adding a new thread, just don't finish your double crochet, hold that thread at the back, grab your new one. If you want to do it this way, there are other ways of doing it. Just pulling your loop through like you would normal. Okay, and just give yourself a nice long tail. You want both tails to be nice and long so they're easy to weave in. Chain 1. And then you are skipping over all of this again, remember, jumping up to your cluster set, separating them, and popping your 2 double crochets. 1, 2, chain 1 and 2 double crochets. Chain 1. Alright, now let me explain what you need to do so you understand this row. Now this row, like I said, oh, there's the rains, can you hear them? Notice how I say them because it's huge, big downpour. Alright, you have done your chain 3, your 1 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochets. That'll classify as 1 double crochet in this round. So you've got 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, chain 1. Jump in between the 4 double crochets. 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, chain 1. All you have to remember is 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, chain 1. But this set has to be in between the middle of the 4 from the row below. Alright, what I would like for you to do now is continue in that manner all the way around until you get to your last cluster set. Perform that last cluster set and I will meet you up. Alrighty guys, I thought I would lay this out for you so you can have a look-see. See how flat it lays and see how gorgeous that pattern is coming out to be. This is the look we are now going for. Now that look is going to be a point look. And you should have, I just had to get down here, 20 points. Okay, you should have 20 clusters, 20 sets, or 20 points. All right, that is what you should have in this round. Get excited, guys, because I don't know if I can get high up for you. I can't get any higher. I'm very short. Can't get any higher than this. When I take footage of it, when it's large, it will be on the ground. I don't want to put it on the ground now because, you know, I'm working with it. Anyway, let's get on with the next row. Alrighty, where you should be, this is your last cluster set. And you've done your chain 1. Now you have all of this here. Don't worry about it. It will lay flat eventually, trust me. I'm going to take my stitch marker out because this is terrible. It's hard for me to slip stitch in there. So now all you need, make sure you change your 1 first. All you need to do is slip stitch into the top of this chain. Ow, that one right there. Pull the loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. And we would need to get into the center of this chain space, so slip stitch into your next stitch. Remember, if you are changing your yarn, just cast off here. You don't need to keep slip stitching over, and then just add your yarn in the corner. When you get to your little peak or your corner, if you will, we'll say a peak, pull the loop through like so, chaining up 1, 2 and 3. Whoops, and then that's your first stitch, by the way. Next time I'm going to find a really big stitch marker, because that's not going to work in the next round either, but it doesn't matter. At least you know where to put it. Oh, I'm so far away. Sorry guys. Here, let me bring that up a bit. So now we're going to put a double crochet in there like we did before, and you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to put 2 double crochets like you did before, but instead of doing chain 1, you're going to do chain 2, 1 and 2. Then you're going to jump out of your set, jump straight into your next set with 2 double crochets, chain 1. So that's 1, 2, chain 1, and 1 and 2. And here we are chaining 2, 1 and 2. So whenever you are in your center, you're chaining 1. Whenever you need to come out of your center, you're chaining 2. So you're doing your normal cluster set in that center. You're just adding an extra chain in between. Okay, it's super easy this round. Okay, you've chained your 2 here. Yes, so you're jumping straight into the next center with your 2 double crochets. Chain 1 and 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. Chain 1 and 2 to get out of the center. Hop into your next center with your 2 double crochets, 1, 2, chain 1, 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, jumping out of your center with 1 and 2 chains. My yarn is rolling all over the table. All right, here we go. That is a very simple pattern. Again, super duper simple. Oh, I didn't bring that out. Super duper simple. You're doing your normal 2 double crochets, chain 1 inside every center you come to, and then you're just doing chain 2 in between each. Super duper easy. Get that round done. Get to this little section right here and I will meet you up. Don't forget to chain 2 in between this time. All right, I'll meet you up in a moment. All right, where you should have left off was you've done your chain 2, you've done your cluster set in there, your chain 2, and now we need to slip stitch, and I've split that yarn. Shh. These tight stitches, I don't know. So you need to slip stitch at the top of that nice tight chain. So pull a loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Now once again, if you are changing colours, you can cast off here and start right in your centre. You're going to slip stitch across otherwise, like so, and then slip stitch into your centre, like so. Chain 1, I'm sorry, it's a bit, that's better, 2, 3, it was a bit dark there because I'm not going to put the stitch marker in, but put your stitch marker in now, or a piece of thread. Oh, I suppose I could do it. There we go, there's a separation right there. I bet I still split it. It's only because this is the wrong stitch marker. Oh no, that's a good one. Yay. Is it? Oh, look, a little bit of split there. I'm doing well. All right, so what we're going to do, exactly what we've been doing in the past 2 rounds, you are putting 1 double crochet, chain 1, and then 2 double crochets. Because your chain 3 in the beginning acts as a double crochet here. All right, now remember in this row, the first row we put chain 1, and in the second row we put chain 2. Well, guess what? Let's do our maths and add chain 1, 2, and 3. Easy, yeah? Jump straight into your next space with your cluster set. So that's roughly all you are doing for the rest of your rug. All right, it's super duper easy, yeah? Super duper easy. Chain 1, 2, and 3 to jump out of your cluster set, jumping into your next cluster set with a cluster set of 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 double crochets. Again, you're getting out of that set, so you are chaining 1, 2 and 3, and then you know what you need to do. All you need to do is jump. I'm going to let you head off on your own in a minute because I've got that much thread left. I'm going to change my yarn again, and I keep changing it every 2 rows or a row and a half now because the rug is getting big. All right, so head off on your own, continue in that manner, and guess what? You're going to, after you finish this round, you're going to slip stitch in there, slip stitch into that one, jump into your center, start again with your cluster set, and when you jump out, 1, 2, 3, what are you going to do next? 4. So what I want you to do, super duper easy, continue this row, finish it, come back, do the next row with your 4 chains, continue in that round, come back, do the next row with your 5 chains, continue in that round, and meet me back here for part 3 of this tutorial. Alrighty guys, so where you should be before you get to part 3 of our tutorial, which will be on Friday, very exciting, you should be at the end of this row right here where there's 5 chains across, and it's exactly where you should be. Now this is where you need to decide for yourself, because I know that I'm literally out of yarn and I've only got enough for maybe a couple of rows of border. So for me, that is where we end. But for you, if you have another 6 skeins in stock or another 7 skeins, whatever, keep going. And when you keep going, remember how we were doing our cluster sets and then chain. Well, we started here. We did our cluster sets, chain 1, cluster sets, chain 2, cluster sets, chain 3, chain 4, and chain 5. You keep going. The next one will be 6, the next one will be 7, 8, and however large you want your rug to be. So you really have to be careful about how much you have, especially with the border row. I won't be able to judge how much yarn you will need for your border rows if you have made your blanket bigger. I want to put single crochet and maybe chains, like a little chain 3 or a picot, if you will. I'm not really sure yet, I haven't decided. I think I will do picot. I'll do picot for the more advanced crocheters, and if you are joining us new, all you would need to do is chain 3, but don't worry about that for now. In our peaks, right on those little points there, all right? So you won't need large amounts of yarn, but if your rug or mat is going to be so big where each row takes a skein or more than a skein, you're going to make sure when you get to your border row that you have 1 or 2 skeins left for part 3 of the tutorial. For me, part 3 of the tutorial will take 1 3/4 skeins. Just a little heads up there. So continue on in this manner. Like I said, get to your chain 5 step if you have the same amount of yarn as me. If you have 12 skeins of yarn altogether and I only had 6, keep going for 6 chains, 7 chains, 8 chains, to however many rows you want, but make sure you have a couple of skeins left for your border rows, because you will need that little bit extra, because your blanket, rug, mat, whatever you want to call it, will be big and each row will take more skeins, all right, or more than 1 skein. That's all I wanted to let you know about, because a lot of people were asking me on my live on Saturday. Oh, by the way, I have lives at 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons and Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. That's Melbourne, Australia time, by the way, if you are joining us from overseas. And in those lives, we usually discuss some of the things you guys don't get that chance to talk about whilst I'm in the middle of a tutorial. We also discuss things like what's happening in the future for Wild Crochet, what we've done in the past. Some of the silliness is involved in that as well. We get a bit silly in our lives, and it happens. But otherwise, we really do have very informative lives. So really do come and join us on our lives so that you can get more information about where you are headed with your rug and your other projects here at Wild Crochet. So I hope this has been very helpful for you in deciding how much yarn you will need or how large you would like your rug to be. Don't forget to join us on Friday for part 3 of your rug, which will be the final part of the rug. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and do all those wonderful things that you pretty much already do for me. And all I want to say right now is, ciao for now. Nice and warm.